This plant is comfrey. It's as big as my head, as long as my head. It's a beautiful plant. Hey, I'm Angelique, and you are now tuned into Smarter by Nature TV. In this video, I wanted to share with you a plant that has been holding it down on its own in our garden for the past few years. So this is comfrey. This is a comfrey leaf, and we have the plant right here. This was an older leaf, and it's longer. There's also some smaller ones that haven't quite developed this long, but it's just been vibing in our backyard for the past few years. We planted it one time, and every year it keeps coming back. Comfrey is a plant that has been a part of our growing journey since the beginning. We first fell in love with comfrey when we found out that it has a long taproot that really gets the nutrients that are far below the soil, and they bring them up to the surface. And once they're like chopped and dropped or made into a compost tea, those minerals, those nutrients can be available for other plants. So we thought that was so cool about them. Besides the fact that they are miners of nutrients in the soil, the leaves are also used to aid in healing like bruises and things like that. So this is a really wonderful plant, and it's been growing for us so well without really any effort on our part. We planted this here about 3 years ago, and we could see that when we look past the large leaves, there are individual plants that are growing here that can be separated. We never did separate it, we just kind of let them do their thing, but we might actually divide the roots to make more plants. Comfrey grows in zones 4 to 9. We're in zone 8B, so we have mild winters, and what that means for us is that when it's our winter, the leaves will soon die back. They'll turn yellow, turn brown, and just decompose to the ground. And then in the spring, when it warms up, new shoots will come out of the roots. So that will happen with all of the perennial plants depending on what zone you're in. Zones that are above 9, so 10 through 11, the comfrey will actually stay alive, so they won't die back to the ground. They'll just keep producing and keep growing. Comfrey is a low maintenance plant that you can grow in partial shade or full sun. We are in partial shade. We're under pine trees, so we have different spots of sun that hits our area at different times of the day. Our garden is partially shady, and so our comfrey loves it. It gets just enough sun that it needs. It's really protected from harsh conditions by just being under the canopy of trees. Our favorite way to use comfrey is to harvest the leaves to make a compost tea. Besides making a compost tea, we'll just chop the leaves and drop them where they are, or we'll take the leaves and put them in certain containers around plants that we wanted to feed. I'm gonna harvest some of these comfrey leaves for tea. To make comfrey compost tea, all we do is harvest the largest leaves. We get a 5-gallon bucket, and we fill the bucket with water. After we fill the bucket with water, we weigh the leaves down and cover it. We could use the liquid fertilizer as early as 48 hours after, and some people even wait until the liquid becomes a dark, thick consistency, and then they dilute that into water over their season. About 5 days ago, I harvested some comfrey leaves. I put them in water in a 5-gallon bucket to make liquid fertilizer, so now we're gonna check on it. Alright, so now I'm over at the buckets where I put compost in, and now I'm going to show you how it looks. It looks pretty yucky, but really it's just plant food. So this is the compost tea that I made using the comfrey leaves. So the comfrey did all the hard work of growing and mining the nutrients from the deep soil layers. They store all the nutrients in the leaves. We harvest the leaves and put them in water. So now all the nutrients are seeping into the water. We'll then take this water and feed it to our plants. Really, it doesn't have a terrible smell. It does smell like decaying plants, but it's not a super rotten smell, even though it looks pretty crazy. So that's all for this video. I just wanted to share that with you, share our lovely comfrey plant, and encourage you to grow comfrey as well. Thank you for watching. Consider supporting us on Patreon. And as always, thank you for being smarter by nature.